All wrapped up. Grandmaster Flash en Furious 5. We hebben geprobeerd... Hij is nu klaar. Nou, dan wordt het gewoon een spannend moment. En dan komt hij meteen live in de studio. Ik wilde namelijk net gaan zeggen dat het niet was gelukt met bellen. Maar we gaan gewoon live even bellen, joh. Prima.
Waarschijnlijk was hij aan het afwassen of zo. Dan,
nou, het zou zomaar kunnen. Ik weet het eigenlijk niet. Kun jij even de tijd volmaken? Dan kan ik even bellen.
Ja, is goed. Nou, Jeff die belt dus op dit moment. En het is iemand van de Fast and Furious 5, zoals ik het heb binnengekregen. En die titel Grandmaster, dat krijg je niet zomaar. Dat is iets wat je waarschijnlijk hoort te verdienen. En lukt het ermee, Jeff? Of...
Nou ja, we gaan erachter komen. Als het goed is dan...
Hello.
Hello. Are we talking to Kidd Creole?
Yeah, that's right. This is Jeffrey.
Yeah, this is. You're live in the air, on air already, because we tried to call you during All Wrapped Up by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5, of course. But all we got was your voicemail. But no problem, you're here right now, and that's all that matters. Talking about that Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5 thing, that's not exactly where you started, because you started way back before Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5.
Right. Actually, we was. I'd like to thank you for having me on the air. I enjoyed talking about the culture and its genesis. Really, how it started. Flash was the person who was like the focal point of our group, because at that time, we're talking about the early 70s. Flash was the DJ, and he was the one that actually we all came to see play. And it was another gentleman by the name of Robert Keith Cowboy Wiggins, who also was from another part of the Bronx, coming to see Flash, because we didn't know Cowboy at that time. Not until we knew Flash, we just knew him from going to the block party and seeing him on the turntables, that kind of thing. So he was like the focal point, and that brought different people from different parts of the Bronx to his party to see him play. That's how we all initially met, and it was Flash, who was the focal point, the DJ, Cowboy, Keith Cowboy, and my brother Mel, and myself, the Kidd Creole. We were called the 3 MCs.
Yeah, the 3 MCs. That's how you started out. Grandmaster Flash and the 3 MCs. But before that time, you were more of a dancer, right? More up rock.
Exactly. Mel and Scorpio, Mr. Ness, and myself, we used to go to different parties, mainly Cool Herc parties. That's not Cool Herc block parties, but Cool Herc parties where he was charging people and dance. But before then, we danced at block parties in the neighborhood and surrounding blocks. After a while. And this is why you went with this. And I wanted to mention this because you said something about up rocking. After a while, it became not as acrobatic as it is right now, but it became a little bit more acrobatic. So I wasn't all that good, when it came to doing backflips and all that. So I used to just do what you mentioned. I used to up rock.
Cool. Well, that was how everything started out: electric boogie and breakdancing. It all started with up rock.
Yes, that's right. It was a time where it was basically about dancing. It didn't really have anything to do about anybody being on the microphone and seeing anything that was written or anything like that. People mostly listened to the DJ spin records, and then when the break part came, then all the guys tried to do their best moves.
You're cool. You mentioned something about block parties. Now, we've already discussed that with numerous MCs we had on the phone. But you stated that people came from all around to go to the block party of Grandmaster Flash. Was that a commonplace? Was that happening to other DJs as well? Or was Grandmaster Flash standing out when it comes to attracting people?
At first, everybody had their area where they had like a local DJ. Or like say we had the South Bronx. Breakout had the North Bronx. Then Bada had the East Bronx. Cool Herc we kind of our territory and Kool Herc kind of overlapped a little bit because he has like the West Bronx, and Mario had a certain part of the East Bronx, like Soundview. It was like that. But after a certain point, because we began giving parties indoors where we was charging people, so that when we gave a block party, it was more of an event than actual. Just how when we first started out, just trying to see if we can get Flash to bring out his equipment, and then he just be in the park playing, and then everybody by word of mouth gather at the park. Or Flash is at this park, and then we always show up at that park, or people would, because we would be carrying speakers and crates of records. But after a certain point, when we started doing our parties indoors, we didn't do all that many parties in the park like that. So then when we did do them, it was more like an event, and people came from all over.
Cool. So you were Grandmaster Flash and 3 MCs, and then a few other people joined, so you became the Furious 4.
Right. That's because Mr. Ness, that's what he was called back then, he was actually a classmate of Mel, my brother. And like I said, we used to go from party to party breakdancing, and when Mel wrote the first hip-hop style rhyme, and then that prompted me to try to write rhymes too, because he was one of the guys that we used to hang out with. That prompted him to also to write rhymes, and I guess he approached Mel to say that he wanted to be a part of the group, and because I was friends with him too, I didn't have any problems with him being in the group. Plus, he was Cowboy's sister's. He was the father of Cowboy's sister's daughter. Mm-hmm. So it was a no-brainer for me. I didn't have no problem putting him in the group, and that's when we became the Furious 4.
Okay, so when did it become the Furious 5?
After a certain point, when we were given different shows in different venues, at the same time we were challenging other, not necessarily challenging them, but doing parties with them where we'll play for a certain amount of time, and then they would play for a certain amount of time like that. We would normally have like maybe 3 rounds. We would play, and then they would play, and then we would play, like that. We would do like three opportunities like that. And we was doing those things at different venues for different groups, in different parts of the Bronx and Manhattan. And one particular time we gave a party at PAL, and that's on 183rd and Webster Avenue. And it happened to be against a group that Raheem was a part of, DJ Breakout and the Funky Four. And that's when they was called the Funky Four, because after Wild left them, they added on 2 members, and they called themselves the Funky Four plus 1 more. But this is when we was the Furious 4. So we had challenge. Actually, we did a show with them, and then we took turns performing, and we this was typical of us, because we had a mindset of stage performers, even though we weren't doing many shows on stage. Our first show that we did, our first show we performed moves like it was the Temptations of somebody. We was in the gym, and we put tables together and did the moves on top of the tables. Cool. That night at the PAL, they had a stage. It was like a gym, but it had a stage at one end. So they was just singing rhymes to records, and we was doing moves like we was the Temptations. So after 2 rounds, they was kind of beat. But Raheem, he was still up there trying to say his rhymes, even though we kind of whipped on them. And later on, we started hearing rumors about him being disappointed in that night, how the group didn't really come to the table with anything really supportive, and he was out there by himself, saying rhymes, and everybody, the rest of the Funky Four was in the background while the records was being played. Like at the back, they were standing in the back of the stage where Raheem was up front saying rhymes. And we were hearing rumors that he was disappointed. So actually, it was Mr. Ness who approached him And one thing led to another, and he left the Funky Four, and he got down with us. That was like May of 1978, and that's when we became the Furious Five.
Okay, so now we have Raheem, your brother Melly Mel, and you yourself, Kidd Creole, mainly writing stuff, being lyricists, and doing all that. DJ Flash, of course, being the DJ, and Cowboy reacting to everything that is happening in the crowd. And you formed like this, in this consistency, in 1978. 1 year later, you stepped into the studio and recorded We Rap Mellow.
We rap more mellow, that's right, yes, on Brass Records, yes.
How did you came to end up in a studio? I mean, you were doing your indoor parties, you were going to block parties, but how does a group in that day and age come to get, to go to a studio and record something?
Well, what happened prior to that, which was a big deal, the Sugar Hill Gang released Rapper's Delight. So at that point, producers who would normally look for people who were singing to try to get them in the studio, all of a sudden now they're looking all over the place for people who say rhymes. And obviously, we're the top group. We're the top like our
the top act out in town.
Exactly. We're the biggest thing in the city when it comes to rap. We brought it to the table. We helped usher it, to the table. So, they were coming to us, like we'll be doing a party, and then producers would show up talking about how they want to get us in the studio and these kind of things. And it was kind of strange to us because people had came to us before Sugar Hill Gang released Rapper's Delight and said that we should make a record. Not anybody that was in the industry, but just like fans. And we always did parties that were like 8 hours long. And we just could never figure out how we could get our party on an album. You know what I'm saying? We just never could figure it out. And all we basically did after the Sugar Hill Gang released Rapper's Delight was to take some of our routines and put them on a record. That's the reason why our first record that we made was about like 12 minutes long or something like that, 11 minutes long, something like that.
Then in that same year, Super Rapping came out, which is, of course, a classic.
Right. Which was basically the same song on Brass Records. We just added a little bit more stuff, that's all. It's like the same song. The beat is different, but, we just added more stuff, like that. Because basically what happened was the people from Brass Records, or not necessarily the people, but the cat who had to deal with Brass Records, and we went in there on his deal. We didn't understand, that that's what he was doing. We thought that he was signing us to a recording contract, but he wasn't. He had a recording contract, and he took us into the studio under his deal. Or he may not have had a recording contract, maybe a label. And he took us into the studio like that. And once we did the song, he basically cut out. Like, he didn't try to promote the song, nothing.
Wow.
We just made it, and I guess he must have got money from the studio or whoever signed him to do what he did, and he got that money, and he left.
Wow, that's harsh.
It was. But because of the nature of the time, we, like, within about a week or maybe two, we had another producer right in front of us saying, "Hey, look, we can do this," and we recorded on Enjoy label.
Yeah. Well done there. That's pretty awesome. But anyway, you were established there as a group. As I said, Super Rappin' was out. We Rap Mellow. Super Rappin' 2 was, coming out a year later. Can you take us through that time with Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5? What happened to you guys? What was going on? Where were you going?
Once we recorded Super Rappin', we started doing like little shows outside the state and all that. We stopped. We had a manager locally. We couldn't. He wasn't able to take us to where we needed to go. So we moved away from him and started dealing with, an agency that allowed us to do like little shows outside the city. Our popularity got a little bit more. We started earning a little bit more money. Shows got a little bit more frequent, and instead of us just doing shows in the Bronx and Manhattan, now we're doing shows, not anything on the West Coast, but we going down south and we going up north like that to do shows. So our life got a little bit more hectic because our popularity rose. We was already popular in the city, but our popularity rose a little bit more.
And not just to the north and south of New York, of course, but also here in Europe.
Well, not until we recorded on Sugar Hill labels. We didn't do any overseas shows or anything like that until like in the one we recorded on Sugar Hill labels in 1980.
Yeah,
and then that's when we started doing, and only after we recorded The Message.
The Message, yeah.
Right. Once we recorded Freedom, then we really started touring, because we never really toured. We just used to do like maybe one or two shows. We would supply the transportation ourselves, that kind of thing. That was southern or northern. But once we signed with Sugar Hill labels, then we was on tour buses, legitimate tours, advertisement, radio stations, in stores, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You also been to UK, Europe, and Scandinavia in 2011. I know that's taking a long step forward, but since The Message, we in Europe have all followed Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5, but you broke up in 84, 85?
Right. The group went through a process where half the group stayed on Sugar Hill label, and half the group went to Elektra. The group that stayed, the members that stayed with Sugar Hill was Mel, Cowboy, and Mr. Ness. He started calling himself Scorpio after this.
Yeah.
And Flash, Raheem, and myself, we signed with Elektra.
Okay, so then what happened to, both of the groups?
Well, we went on and recorded 3 albums. Mm-hmm. They said it couldn't be done, The Source and Bada Boom Bang. And Mel and his group went on to record 2 albums, On the Strength and Pump Me Up. And they also participated in Beat Street.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that separation lasted till about maybe 1987 when we got back together and recorded On the Strength.
On the Strength, yeah, in 1988.
Right.
So
it was a lot of friction in the group.
Yeah.
At that time, we was trying to do something to move forward. But even though we got back together and recorded On the Strength, Elektra didn't really promote the album all that well, so the album didn't do well at all, and then the group fell apart again. That was the last time that we actually had anything to do with Flash. But from that point on, we had did a thing in Japan. I think it was 1991, and while we were doing this thing called the Mic Check Show, we had went to Japan, and then that was the last time we had did anything with Flash. After that Japan show, he came back to the States, and he hasn't performed with us since. Except, these little tribute shows you see on TV, VH1 Honors, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame show. We was together then, but that was only for the camera.
Yeah, that was in 2007.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So what happened after 2007? You were on a collaboration.
Right, that was right. I had a cat named Spider G who had a deal with Sony. He had a record company with Sony called New Detroit Records.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a bunch of artists get together, and how I became a part of that. It was a cat that I know named DJ K Wiz, and he was doing a couple of tracks with the guy Spider D, and K Wiz asked me, do I want to be a part of it, and I said yes.
Yeah, I can imagine. But you're also doing stuff by yourself. You have a YouTube channel. And you released quite interesting things, 50 Rhymes in 50 Days, Part 1 and Part 2.
Right, that's right. I did it in 2012 and 2013.
Mm-hmm.
All I was trying to do was just raise my profile a little bit and, show people that I have a certain amount of lyrical skill because, I really don't get all that much notoriety. Most of the time when people want to talk about the group, they want to talk to Flash or Mel.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't, I don't seem to get all that much recognition of being, one of the cats that helped start.
Yeah, I was about to say,
within its infancy.
You and Mel together concocted a lyrical systematic that hip hop nowadays is actually based upon.
Right, it's true. How people pass the mic to one another also. Like, if I'm rhyming and I want to give you the microphone, I'll say a phrase and then you'll start rhyming. We developed that technique,
mm-hmm.
and it's still in place right now. But I don't feel anything negative
mm-hmm.
because I don't look at it like it was something that somebody purposely did. It's just just the way the cards fell. Flash, his name being first in the group, and then Mel being the only member to actually rhyme on the message. I kind of got lost in the shuffle right there. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really do anything on my own to really stand out to make people understand that that I was instrumental in forming the culture that we call hip hop.
Yeah.
But I'm still trying to do things, and I'm not discouraged or anything like that because these things sometimes they happen, and at that time it wasn't my time, and I'm still hoping that my time is in the future.
So what does the future have in store for Kidd Creole?
Well, right now, Raheem and myself we recorded a couple of songs with Chuck D and DMC from Run DMC and Public Enemy, respectively, and we're going to record three other more songs, and we're looking at a release. I'm not really sure of the actual month because I don't have any control over that part of it. But we're looking at something. The group is going to be called it's going to be Raheem, myself, DMC from Run DMC, and Chuck D from Public Enemy, and it's going to be like a loosely based group. We're not going to be an actual group, but like just traveling Wilburys. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Nice.
And it's going to be called the Hall of Famers because all of us are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That's true. That's true. Wow. Too bad you cannot say anything about a release date because I really want to know now when this is coming out.
Yeah, we already recorded a couple of 3 songs, and we still got a few more songs to record. But we're looking to have something happen in 2016.
Yeah, please keep us posted because as soon as it hits the shelves, I want to be there.
No doubt. Jeff.
Yeah.
No doubt. We're definitely keep you in the loop and shit.
Good. That was going to be my next question. If something happens, please let us know because we ourselves would like to know, of course, but our listeners would like to know as well.
Oh, that ain't no problem. We're friends on Facebook. Just like earlier, I don't know what the hell happened to me, but I had my phone turned off, and the way you got in contact with me was on Facebook. So
yeah, true.
There you go. So that even if I'm not speaking to you directly, messaging you, I'm still throwing things up on Facebook. So we're Facebook friends, and we can always keep in contact through cyberspace in that manner. And if I need to contact you directly, I can always hit you with a
just
instant message, and then we could make something happen.
Exactly.
Like that, because
very good to hear that. You guys are all still up and running, doing your thing, keeping hip hop alive. And
know what it is? It's not to interrupt you. I'm sorry about that. It's basically we still love the game. It ain't nothing changed. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like we chasing anything except that we love what we're doing, and we just want to do the thing that we love. That's all.
Wow. Well, in that case, keep loving it and keep doing it.
Thank you, bro. And I appreciate you allowing me to be on your show and talk directly to the fans. Hey, y'all out there, we definitely we trying to do our thing, and look out for us in 2016. We definitely gonna be out there trying to make something happen.
Yeah, we as Hip Hop High School will definitely be on the lookout. Thank you very much for having this conversation with us, Kidd Creole from the Furious Five.
You're welcome.
And we'll be continuing our show. Please, Kidd, hold the line because, when the music's playing, I just want to have a little chat with you.
Sure, no problem.
For us, it's on with the program.
Een nieuw uur radio voor Huizen, Blaricum, Eemnes en Laarden.